Can the smart kids at Vanderbilt roll the tide in Tuscaloosa? And we've already had an SEC coach fired. It is time to get the squad together.
You're talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the SEC squad. Sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and join us as we get you ready for another week talking all things SEC. And today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every moment, every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Let's welcome in our panel for this week. We've got Jay Smith from Locked On Sooners. We've got Corey Burton, Locked On Vandy. They're in the news. We got Jimmy Stein, Locked On Bama. We got John Neighbors, Locked On Razorbacks. I'm Chris Gordy, Locked On SEC. And gentlemen, we'll start things off as we always do, asking you to give me a prediction about your team this week. Or if you're in a bye, you can just give me something you like about your team. But I think all you guys are playing. Except for Arkansas. We'll get to what they did here in a second. But, Jay, give me a prediction on Oklahoma this week.
I think for the second time this season, we'll have a running back run for 100 yards. I don't know who it is, but we are playing Kent State, so it's definitely inevitable. I don't care how bad our run game is right now. It's impossible to not run for 100 yards with one player against Kent State.
Yeah, and all eyes on Michael Hawkins as he gets his warm-up game for Red River, because he's going to be the guy with John Mateer out. Corey Burton, give me a thought on Vanderbilt.
Well, whoever they pick on the kicker for game day, he's going to wrong game. No, I think with the stats on Alabama's run defense, I think there's a chance that Vandy could have their first 100-yard rusher. Whether that's Pavia or Seti, I'm not real sure, but they could have their first 100-yard rusher.
I've been a Cedric Alexander fan ever since he walked foot on Vandy's campus. Good running back. By the way, I love the college game day kicker segment. I think we got to stop bringing in patsies that were high school football kickers to kick for you. I think if you get picked, you got to go kick. But I digress. Jimmy Stein, give me a prediction for Bama.
I think you see Alabama play a cleaner game than 1 year ago in Nashville. Obviously, Vanderbilt's going to have some success on offense again. I agree with Corey that Vanderbilt's likely to produce 100-yard rusher in this game. I think Vanderbilt's going to have quite a bit of success on offense, actually, but Alabama will play a cleaner game than they played in Nashville a year ago, where there were 2 interceptions, multiple penalties that helped keep some drives alive. I think playing a cleaner game is a big goal for the Tide this Saturday.
And we come to John Neighbors, where we would get a prediction on Arkansas. They're not playing a game, but they were the first school to fire their head coach. So, gents, we'll start there today on the squad show. Sam Pittman fired. Had to happen. John, do we get a little bit more of a positive, upbeat John Neighbors? Because you've been kind of hoping for this.
Well, I mean, it could be worse. You could have just given up 42 points in a single half to Notre Dame at home in front of your 10th largest crowd. And, you know, that game that will never happen again. I'll never see Notre Dame in Fayetteville ever again. So, yeah, I really appreciate that. But no, it was inevitable and it was time. It's just you can't keep having those types of things happening. And you could tell that the team let go of the rope. They didn't want to be there. They didn't want to play for him anymore. And it was time. He had a bye week. And I think that they were going to make a move on Sam Pittman regardless, really, of the outcome against Notre Dame the week before. And I think it got out to the team and going into the bye week, they were going to make a move. And that's where it all just came crumbling down. So, yeah, been a wild one for that. And, you know, Pittman, well-liked guy, but it's performance-based business, and you can't have that type of performance on Saturday, and especially in front of your home crowd.
And completely bucked the FanDuel odds, by the way. Coming into the season, Billy Napier was hands down the favorite for first SEC coach to be fired. And lo and behold, Sam Pittman was the first. Although, if things keep going south, Napier may not be far behind. But Jay, Corey, Jimmy, what did y'all make of the Sam Pittman firing?
I think it was inevitable. I mean, I think you saw him getting burnt out. The players they were on quit watch well before that. It just seemed like they just weren't. It just wasn't jiving. It was time to make a move, and they wanted. It seemed like they wanted to wait till the end of the season, but I'm not surprised either way.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that it didn't go to the end of the season because it kind of felt like at some point they were going to try to stop the bleeding, I guess you could say. It just felt like Corey mentioned, like John kind of mentioned there as well. It felt like the players were really kind of quitting on them. They just weren't really that. It was little mistakes that I think that was wearing me out anytime I watched the game. It was the small stuff, and you're like, penalties here that don't make any sense. And it's like, this team should be better than that. I mean, they are one of the better offenses in the SEC. I mean, Green was out there putting up some work, and you're like, okay, can we just get everybody just in sync to where this team could stay competitive? I thought they were going to turn the corner at the beginning of the season, and then it just went back to what it was last year. I was like, well, I guess they're probably going to go ahead and write this one. The writing's on the wall, and sure enough, as soon as that 42 points happened, I was like, oh yeah, it's done. He's cooked.
You see those lackadaisical mistakes like, mishandling the ball at the goal line and fumbling, and the lack of
stuff.
The lack of physicality. Like normally, there was that one play where we talked about when we talked about the Memphis game where the quarterback just ran right through the defense, and 4 guys had a chance to just kill shot him, and they just watched him roll into the end zone. Like those type of things are like they quit. I immediately was like, they're done. Like they were already headed that way, but I was like, that was the moment where I was like, yeah,
on the coffin.
It's not if, it's when.
It was time, like John said, it was time. I hate it in the sense that he's such a great fit there. I mean, I think if you just looked in the dictionary for Arkansas football coach, there should be like a picture of Sam Pittman. I mean, I just think that an ideal fit, but in the end, it has to be about wins and losses and nothing else. And it just wasn't good enough. And it was time for Arkansas's administration to tell all the supporters at Arkansas, we're very serious about football. We're serious about winning. So this is what we're going to do. And now we'll see that they jumped into the coaching search early so they can be on the phone with agents. But I can't help but wonder if the ultimate hire isn't already in that office.
Well, let's talk about it. Bobby Petrino gets a second chance. He is the interim coach. I think we all kind of saw this when they made the move, right? Because he was running the offense at A&M and did a good job there. And, comes back to Arkansas. I think we all said when he got hired, oh, good. So if it doesn't work out with Pittman, they could just make Bobby Petrino the interim. This was said when he was brought back there. So he gets a chance, but guys, what's he have to do? Because this schedule is absolutely brutal. I don't know how he proves that he's the guy, because this is going to take some massive upsets.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things to where it's like, what do you got to lose? No pressure's on Petrino to go out there and win a bunch of games and be like, hey, if you don't, we're going to blame you for this terrible season. It's like, no, there's no pressure on him or anything, and he does have the bye. I even felt like making the jokes, like if you would have told me as a Razorback fan 15 years ago that Dave Van Horn, as well as John Calipari and Bobby Petrino were going to be your 3 head coaches of the major sports, I've been like, man, that's awesome, but not going to happen. And here we are again. Like, it's wild to think, but I believe that it's a matter of, all right, well, you had to do something. And for Petrino to step in, I mean, there's a lot worse interim coaches to have than Bobby Petrino, who succeeded and everything. But the fact that he just walks in and then he just fires the entire defensive staff. I mean, the defensive coordinator, secondary coach, and D-line coach is just kind of telling of like, hey, listen, guys, I got 9 weeks, 7 games to get this right. If I see any sort of people or any sort of coaches that I feel like are not going to be on board with me, you're out of here. You're gone. And so that's what he's doing. He cleaned house and he's going to do it his way. So I don't think that the expectation should be high. I don't think Arkansas is going to make a bowl game, but if he does, if he finds some way to have some magic pulling out and does something crazy, like go 4-3 in these final 7 games or something, I don't know how you don't give him the permanent job heading forward, because he's made it very publicly known and very clear. He wants this job. He wants it to be a permanent basis, which I'm still shocked by, but I'm just curious to see how they're going to look against Tennessee here in 2 weeks on the road. That's going to be a very telling sign of what this team's mentality is like.
I mean,
it's
go ahead, Jay.
It's one of those situations where, he realized he had it good. He had a good situation and he ruined it. And because he ruined it, he, went off, tried to see what life would be like without it and realized, no, that's really where I want to be. And it's funny because, as Jimmy said, like Pittman was the perfect guy for Arkansas. He just embodied that. I mean, he had the massive hog water fountain at his lake. I was in love. I was like, this is a perfect marriage. It should have been, at least. But no, Bobby Petrino knows that this was the job that he shouldn't have screwed up. And he's now groveling back. He apologized. He went and did all the other jobs to gain trust again. And yeah, I could totally see why he would want this one. He realized this was him.
He never wanted to leave. Like,
No.
he never wanted to leave, and he screwed it up and had to leave. And now he realized,
like, cheat on your girl, she kick you out. And then, and hopefully you pray that, well, I mean, in the context of this situation, it's kind of what happened in theory also, but I digress. He realized that, no, I did screw up, and I got to fix this, because this is me. And we'll find out if he can fix it to where it becomes him again.
And both of those things, John, can be true. He didn't want to be a head coach until this opportunity was presented to him. And he's like, hey, no, I do want it. I didn't want any other head coaching job. But I want this Arkansas job.
Let me push back on that real quick, because here's my only thing about it is, like, Petrino, if he really, he could have just been like the interim, be like, hey, I'm going to serve my 1 year time and be out and go find something else, because he made known that he was going to try to he likes coaching quarterbacks and offenses and all that. I think what my theory is somebody said, hey, Bobby, if you want this gig, I want you to have it. If you do, I got you taken care of. Because Bobby's not stupid. Like, he wouldn't take over. We had Hunter Yurchek, the athletic director, saying Sam Pittman was not financially set up to win a championship and win big. It's like, oh, that's great. But I doubt Bobby would be walking in and being like, yeah, that sounds good. I want to be a head coach of that. He's got to have some sort of assurances in the back end. And I feel like that had to have been made, whether it was this past week or weeks ago or whatever, for him to truly want to step back into this ring. He's got to have some sort of reason to be successful and some sort of assurance that he is going to be set up for success, unlike Sam Pittman was.
And in this landscape, guys, the boosters are more important than ever because of NIL. I mean, schools have never needed their power boosters more than they do in this current landscape. And guess what? The boosters at Arkansas, they know Bobby Petrino. They already know him. There's already a relationship there. So I think it's a tremendous advantage for Petrino that the people that help fund NIL and the other things at Arkansas, they already know Bobby. And if Bobby's the guy they want, then I think that's a highly likely outcome.
Hey, real quick, guys, before we move on, because we do have to get to some games happening this week.
Wait, there's games?
Just go around the horn real quick. Just give me, if Hunter Yurchek called you tonight and said, give me the name you want to be the next head coach at Arkansas. Corey, start with you.
Corey Burton. No. No, I'm just kidding.
Pays well.
Yeah. John Summerall.
Okay. From Tulane. Jay?
Yeah. Rhett Lashley.
Okay. Of course, he did the whole Nick Saban, I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. Jimmy Stein?
I think it's going to be Petrino, but if I was them, I would target Rhett Lashley.
John Neighbors? I know you threw a name out at me earlier this week.
John Gruden.
Okay. Sticking with it.
Oh. Wow.
I like it.
That would be
That'd
fun.
be fascinating. Well, actually, he fit like Pittman as a personality.
He's best friends with John Daly, and John Daly loved that. And for some reason, Brett Favre just decided to endorse him for the Arkansas job yesterday on social media. I have no idea why, but he did. I was like, hey, good enough for me. Brett Favre and John Daly. It's all I needed.
Continue the streak of Arkansas having the funnest coach in the league.
Yeah.
That would continue.
That would have the winningest coach in the league for a change, though. I think Arkansas fans would rather have that for a change.
Can he keep his Barstool show though while he's coaching? Is that possible?
If he gets us to the playoffs, I don't care what he does. He can do whatever he wants.
Hey, I was gonna say Dion, but you know what? I'll go Mike Gundy. I'm a man. I'm 50.
Wow.
Let me get in there.
Gundy would be awful. Dion would make sense because not only did Yurchek like him in the interview process, because he interviewed him during the process before they hired Pittman, but Jerry Jones, Arkansas guy, he's very close with Dion. You never know if he tries to maneuver something. I don't think he would. I also don't think Prime's leaving Colorado anytime soon. It's going to be a few years to get him out of there. They give him way too much power for him to relinquish that to go any other place.
Just real quick, Jerry Jones is basically endorsing Rhett Lashley. That's the guy I think Jerry wants the most of the connection.
I can see it.
We'll see.
The question is, will Rhett leave and go there?
Yeah, come on. Well,
it's the SEC.
But
The SEC.
SMU, he's got a lot of money backers with
He
money
do.
right now at SMU, so that'd be
Both.
tough to leave. All right.
Finally, it's legal.
When we return, fellas, the SEC squad, we're going to get into the big one this week. College game day, heading to Tuscaloosa for Vandy. Talk about that next.
For Vandy.
Back to the squad in just a second, but the NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss right now. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you will unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And you're going to love everything FanDuel has to offer. Of course, all the big games happening across the SEC. You want to get in on any of those lines? They got them up there for you right now at FanDuel. And they give you so many different ways to play. You want to build a parlay? I like to do a little parlay action with some of the underdogs each week in the SEC. Get some big upsets going. You get 2 big upsets, you're going to get a big payout. You can do some player props. You can even follow the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something extra riding on the action. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. That is over at FanDuel.com. Get in there today. Hey, this episode also brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that become an extension of your home, whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for game day, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. And of course, we got some great businesses in your neighborhood, like Goodfellas Distillery in Lexington, Truman's Bar and Grill in Como, Jack's Ice Cream in Fayetteville, or Eileen's Colossal Cookies in Norman. All those places are using Square, and Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. And you can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square will see you in the neighborhood. SEC squad rolling along here, and gentlemen, on Saturday, 2:30 Central on ABC, it'll be number 16 undefeated Vanderbilt Commodores at number 10 Alabama. It is the game of the week. College game day is heading to Tuscaloosa, and I talked to Jimmy earlier this week, and he said, they ain't heading there for Alabama. They're heading there because it's Vandy, and the story is Vandy. Corey and Jimmy, a rematch of last year's epic upset.
Rematch indeed. A rematch indeed. And so what Vanderbilt is looking to do, their offense has been incredible, especially they've been great in the red zone. They're 15th nationally in red zone efficiency. They're elite on third downs. Like they're looking to continue their scoring and continue their explosive offense. I mean, they're averaging 49 points a game, and they're looking to go continue that. And the thing I see in this matchup that benefits Vanderbilt a whole lot is Vanderbilt's great at running the ball, and Alabama statistically is not great defending the run, although they have talent across the board and talent everywhere. For whatever reason, they're not good defending the run.
Yeah, I agree with Corey entirely. I think that's why Saturday is going to be pretty compelling. I actually think the game's going to look very similar to the game a year ago. So many of the same pieces are in place. Mm-hmm. So many of the same issues Alabama has still in place. I think Vanderbilt's going to have a lot of success offensively. I just think in the end, this Alabama team, they play a cleaner version of football last year. Not as many mistakes. I think Vanderbilt this year is going to have to earn every bit of it, and they might. But I do think overall the game's going to look similar to last year in the sense that I expect to see Vanderbilt go on time-consuming, length of the field drives with Pavia orchestrating that RPO zone read offense, and Vanderbilt scoring enough points to make Alabama very uncomfortable. Alabama answering those drives with some quick strike touchdowns, which is a specialty of Alabama that has, in my opinion, the best wide receiver core in the league, which is saying a lot, especially
maybe
this
in
year.
The country.
But this wide receiver core at Alabama is deep with playmakers, and you've got a really good quarterback getting them the ball. So I think Vanderbilt's time-consuming drives versus Alabama's quick strike touchdowns, and like Lane Kiffin said just last week, bet the over.
Yeah, Jimmy, what was Georgia in your eyes? What was Georgia able to do to disrupt Ty Simpson in the second half of that game? Because he wasn't quite as effective. Their defense really kind of stepped up in that game and forced Georgia into some weird situations where they were stepping all over themselves. But what was Georgia's defense able to do to Ty Simpson and that tied offense to kind of keep them at bay in the second half?
Yeah, they really kept Alabama out of the end zone and off the scoreboard in the second half, but Alabama was still able to control time of possession in a very Vandy-like style. Alabama kept the ball and kept the ball away from Georgia. So when Georgia was keeping Alabama out of the end zone, they weren't making too much progress themselves on the scoreboard because Alabama still had the ball. So Alabama had just enough success on offense to keep the ball, but they weren't scoring like they did in the first half. That game looked sort of similar to Alabama-Georgia last year, where Alabama gets off to the quick start. They get a big lead. Georgia comes back. Obviously, Georgia outscoring Alabama 21-10 after the 14-0 lead for Alabama. In that way, the game looked sort of similar to last year, which is one of the themes that I have this week of, I think this Alabama-Vanderbilt sequel is going to look a lot like the original. I think it will have a different outcome, but I think it's going to be tight.
I actually think that if Alabama wins this game, they're going to go to the playoffs. Like that's how important I think it is, because to me, it's going to show. All right, was that your big game against Georgia? Was that it? You know, did you go all in on that and you have that, and then you have an emotional letdown on it? If they go out and they beat Vanderbilt, and especially if they beat them handedly, something like that, I think that they're going to start really rolling. But that's what I'm going to be curious about to see, because if they don't come out there guns blazing and feeling great and wanting to do that, then Vanderbilt is just good enough to beat them. And so I think that it would be coaching malpractice on DeBoer's part if they do not win this game. However, again, Vanderbilt, they're no slouch. They're going to give them all that they want. And I think it's going to be, as close as it was last year, maybe not, but I still think that it'll be at least a good game going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I heard a point that was made, and I tend to agree with it when I really thought about it, that Kalen DeBoer beating Georgia was probably one of the biggest mistakes he's made in the last couple of years, because now it shows that he can actually do it. And so these other losses now makes him look really bad if he has any other losses that don't make any sense. It's like, we know you have the talent.
Years in a row. He's beat
Yeah. We know you got the talent. We know that you can coach. You're undefeated against Dan Lanning 2 times, Sarkisian 2 times, and Kirby Smart. Well, no, he's like 7-0 or 8-0 now against those 3 coaches. Like, you beat Kirby Smart numerous times, Sark numerous times, and Dan Lanning, coaches that have had teams that have been really good. So we know that you can coach it. You have the talent in Alabama, but why aren't you executing on it? And so it kind of makes him look bad if he does not close this out. Now, granted, this ain't your granddaddy's Vanderbilt. I mean, this is even James Franklin's Vanderbilt. This team is actually pretty darn good, and they got a dude that is relentless, that wants to win. And so, Jimmy, you're right. The bigger thing is Vanderbilt's going to burn clock. You can't do anything about that. They just have the capabilities. The question is will Alabama not turn the ball over in kind of silly situations to keep the score on their side, in which is probably going to end up that direction. I think Bama squeaks it out, but it's going to be one of those Vanderbilt has like a 40-minute time of possession because they're just burning it. And as John mentioned,
I would say another way. You talk about protecting the football. Like, I look, playing on the road in the SEC is tough. I mean, Brian Denny is going to be rocking. That stadium is going to be hostile. Like, I think this could be the week that Vanderbilt, as great as they've been, averaging 49 points a game and offense looking electric, this could be the week where they have the mess ups, and it's the fumbling, and it's the, Pavia, you didn't see that safety playing low, interception. This is where the mistakes could come for Vanderbilt.
Last year,
last year, to kind of add to John what John said, the winner of if Bama wins this game, they're playoff bound, because for the most part, they'll probably have maybe one more loss on the schedule that they'll have to fight with. But there's no reason why this team, talent-wise and capability-wise, my question is Womack ready to adjust his defensive play to get the ball out of Vanderbilt's hand on a regular basis? That's what you got to do. You get it out of Vanderbilt's hand, I think Bama can win it. That's what's going to be most important.
Last year, there were 2 turnovers in this game by Alabama, including a pick 6. They look at Vandy. Vandy scored 33 against the Alabama defense a year ago, but benefited from a pick 6. Alabama also turned over the ball a second time in that game. Alabama, through 4 games, hasn't turned it over at all this year, not even one time. twice against Vanderbilt last year. To me, that's the key. If Alabama helps Vanderbilt, you could be on the short end of this, because Vanderbilt doesn't need much help. One thing I was right about in the offseason about Vanderbilt, and wrong about, I thought Vanderbilt would be a better team this year than they were last year. I think that's proving to be the case. I was right about that. What I also said was I'm not sure their record's going to be any better, because the league as a whole is so difficult. The whole bottom and middle of the league is, as you know, for the most part, is as good as it's ever been. I thought Vanderbilt would have a similar record to what they had a year ago, but they're even a lot better, I think, than they were a year ago. And I'm expecting a 60-minute game on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, this was said about Vanderbilt going into South Carolina, because Williams-Brice is just as hostile as any place in the SEC. What does Vanderbilt do? They get the opening kickoff. First play, they get thrown for a loss, crowds in a frenzy, and then they proceed to go on a 10-play death march to put the first points on the board.
Literally.
And the crowd is like, what? And then that game was – the South Carolina coaching staff was in shell shock. The crowd was in shell shock. Just everything just kind of unraveled for the Gamecocks. And, it showed me that they weren't intimidated by that environment, because, Sandstorm's rocking, the crowd is loud as hell. It's one of the most hostile environments. Everyone I talk to that's played in the SEC tells me immediately South Carolina when I talk about hostile environments. And so the environment doesn't scare me as much, because they've proven 2 weeks back to back that the environment really doesn't affect them as much. They're much more talented up front. They can control the line of scrimmage, and that's where I think they could get an edge. Now, Bama is super talented, so it's not going to be a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think it's going to be a competitive game, and I do think Vanderbilt, has as much a chance of anybody. I mean, I'm gonna continue my bullishness on Vanderbilt, and I'm going to say, they're going to come away with a victory here.
Well, real quick, guys, show of hands. Corey showing his hand. Raise your hand if you're going to take Vandy to win this one. Corey?
I'm on an island. I'm not surprised. But
4-1.
Been here before.
Is taking Alabama. So
I wouldn't be surprised if they won, but I think Bama should be able to pull this one off.
And look, Kalen DeBoer, he earned himself a loss. If he loses to Vandy, look, he beat Georgia, so it's all fair.
If Vanderbilt,
he might get fired.
If they go on that same death march to start the game, what does the crowd do?
I won't be surprised. And see, that's the thing that might, South Carolina
is what I'm.
It would probably cause quite a bit of silence, but it wouldn't surprise the crowd. I think Alabama's fan base and Alabama's team, I think they fully expect to see a high-quality SEC team coming in. I don't think Vanderbilt having success is going to surprise the crowd at all.
Welcome to 2025. The times have changed when Vandy is
getting
the respect. All right, when we return, gents, we got to jump into some of the other games around the SEC this week. There's not many. Coming up next. More squad action coming your way in a second, but first, Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, and with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anyone else, from footwork to breathwork, athletes, they sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how they craft every model of vehicle. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from the smooth handling to the intuitive controls. And with their all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Just like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. This episode also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. And look, guys, college football is back, and we're super excited. From the tailgates to the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's nothing like it. But let's be real, actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping up at checkout. That's why we use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Pull up the Game Time app right now. In just a couple taps, you're going to see some amazing deals. I'm talking your favorite college football games as low as $25. The app makes it super simple. You can see the exact view from your seat before you buy. And honestly, It's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way you're going to buy tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege. You can get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, SEC squad, we're along here. Real quick, guys, let's jump into the 4 other games happening this weekend. 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. It'll be number 9, Texas at 1-3, Florida. I was dissecting a little bit more on Texas. I mean, this is going to be the first real, next big test for Arch Manning. I mean, they had that great, defensive performance against Ohio State week 1 where everybody's questioning Arch, and then they played 3 cupcakes. So we really don't know what this Texas team is. Granted, we think Florida stinks, but the defense is pretty decent. So I just keep looking at this game going, take the under, because this could be bad offense and bad offense.
Yeah, that's exactly what I see when I see this game. And I mean, I know Texas fans aren't going to be happy to hear this at all, but yeah, the quarterback play has been bad. The running backs haven't been really doing that much. The defense is stout, but just like you said, Gordy, it's going to be whose offense doesn't turn the ball over the most. Because to me, Florida has proven to us that even when Lagway gives the ball away literally 5 times, they're only going to give up 1 actual offensive touchdown. But we still need to know, is LSU's offense actually any good, or if it's actually inept as well. We'll find out about Texas, though, because Florida's going to give them the ball. Question is, can Arch not sidearm it and actually get some first downs and get some touchdowns? I don't know if I believe it yet. Yeah, so I'm gonna take the under. I think this game's combined points, it could be less than 20.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, Florida. Sorry, Jimmy. I'll tell you, Florida has a bevy of problems. Defense is not in those problems.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense is elite. They have 11 problems on offense, seems like, but and with the coaching staff. But man, this defense is electric, and they'll flat get after you, and they'll pressure Eli. They'll pressure Arch and force some bad mistakes. And I mean, this game, yeah, it's hammer, smash the under for sure.
Two really good defenses, no doubt. Sometimes it's just one game. I see this meaning mini games, and whoever wins this game, I think is going to go on to have a really good football season. Whoever loses this game, I think the wheels could come off. Certainly at Florida, Texas will definitely be flying below expectations if they lose their first SEC game out of the gate based on how they've already played. The loser of this game to me is sort of stick a fork in them. The winner could end up putting it together and having a good season.
I don't necessarily agree wholeheartedly. Like if Texas loses, it's stick a fork in them. But Florida definitely. If Florida loses that thing, the wheels are already off. But if they lose that thing, I think they're just looking for a reason to fire Billy Napier. And Arkansas already made the first move, so they're not going to be the first ones to do it. So, this is going to be a defensive battle. Texas is elite on defense. Florida's elite on defense. So if you like defensive football, all you high school defensive coordinators probably going to be tuning into this one. So that's for sure.
I'll say that I think I kind of, in a way, agree with Jimmy. Of if Texas loses this game, that it's it. Like I just don't see how you can have that much of an expectation with that much of a big time player, and you go into, I know it's on the road, but you go into Florida, who's 1-3, and lose that, and you're sitting like literally where it's like, hate to be this way, but it's almost like, hey, if you compare Arkansas's resume to Texas's resume, is it really that different? I mean, has it really been that much different? And I'm like, I'm not saying that Texas and Arkansas are the same. I'm just saying, considering the expectation that was given, it's like, if you can't do it here, if you can't do it now, if you can't even go out and beat Florida, what are you? Like, how can you say you're a contender? I think it's very possible that happens. And I'll even go one step further. If they lose this game, I think this might be, I think last year's going to be the anomaly of Sark at Texas. I think last year was going to be the best year, and they're not going to get back anywhere close to getting into the championship, much less the playoffs, if that's the case.
That's John Neighbors, who does Locked on Razorbacks, who is a permanent rivalry of Texas moving forward.
Yeah, and now it is, which is awesome. Thank you for throwing the shade out there. At least I'm not the only one doing that now. But no, it's funny because Josh Pate had put out a chaos scenario where Texas would go into Red River against Oklahoma undefeated, Texas 3-2, and Texas fans lost their minds. They said that this is ridiculous. There's no way we're going to have one loss, let alone 2. And now this is actually a possibility. I kind of want it to happen now because I want them to apologize. I really want them to say, dang, we did not see this coming.
Let's parlay this real quick. Give us a quick thought, Jay. 3 p.m. Central on SEC Network. It's 1-3 Kent State at Oklahoma, but it's Michael Hawkins at quarterback. He's got to use this as a dress rehearsal to get ready for Red River.
Is Julian Edelman coming back for Kent State? Because that's their only hope.
Yeah, no, not at all. Sean Lewis is also not walking through that door. So since that's the case, and Sean's infamous for making, made Kent State a pain in everybody's tush. I think they even took Georgia
they did
through 3 quarters or something one year. It was like, oh my God, Kent's looking
right
Sean
before he
Lewis.
left Colorado. Yeah,
Right before he left to go to Colorado. So with that being said, Kent State's awful, and Michael Hawkins will probably do to them a lot more than what they did to Auburn last year. So I think we should be good to go in that game.
Matter. I could be quarterback for Oklahoma in that game. It'd be.
Exactly. Me too. I could.
But the point being, you want him to show some things because again, John Mateer ain't coming back anytime soon. So this is you think?
Is there a chance he's back for? Is there a chance he's back for Texas?
He's been telling people he's coming back for Texas. That's the reason why he came to Oklahoma is to play in Red River. Now, I don't think he will. I think he's not coming back to South Carolina personally, but I'm not going to act like it's not a possibility because, for real, he's been telling, that's the rumors going around is he's telling folks, oh, no, I plan on playing in that game. So we'll see if it happens. We see if the hand swelling's down. The swelling seems to be down, so we'll see.
2 more games, fellas, real quick. At 12 p.m. Eastern on ABC, it's 2-2 Kentucky at number 12 Georgia. Obviously feels like a get-right game for Georgia, but I will say Mark Stoops, for whatever reason, has given Kirby they've played him close for some reason. When Georgia has good offenses, for some reason they get bogged down when they play Kentucky.
But it's at Georgia this time, so Kentucky always plays them well in Lexington.
They do.
Occasionally in Athens, but most of the time those close games are in Lexington. I don't see any problem here. Kentucky's bad; they're real bad.
Yeah, Georgia big.
Is Cutter
Georgia's going to
Cutter Bowley still the quarterback?
Yeah,
yes.
Cutter Bowley still the quarterback. Yeah.
Ooh.
It could be
The name tells
Calzada,
me it's going to be bad.
Brutal.
I will say, though, Kentucky was running the football well early against South Carolina, and then they got away from it, and that's where all the turnovers happened, pick 6 and fumble recovery for a touchdown. Like, if they just kept running the football, maybe they could have hung around. So
Shout out to former Sooner Seth McGowan out there running the ball like crazy for them. I mean, it'd be nice if we had some running game like that. I would take that right now.
Shut up! You're 4-0. Like, what do you mean? You're number 5 team in the country. Get benched. Like, what do you mean? I wish we could do this.
I am, but John, I do want to run game.
Yeah.
Right. I probably should stop.
I'd like to win, but
fair.
I think it's a matter of time too on Mark Stoops that he's. It's going to be Billy Napier stopping by to pick up Mark Stoops as they drive to Destin to go have lunch with Sam Pittman and maybe Ed Ogeron. They all get together for a reality.
What about Ed Ogeron? Arkansas?
I'd like to be at that party.
Yeah, it could be a lot of fun. Hey, Sam Pittman's going to be drinking beer. You know that.
You can be drinking full beer, yeah.
Real quick, last one, guys, tonight, 6:30 Central on SEC Network from College Station. It is 4-1 Mississippi State, who gave Tennessee all they could freaking handle a week ago in overtime, at number 6 Texas A&M, who snuck by. I shouldn't say snuck by Auburn. They beat Auburn pretty handily. It was a close score, but I mean, Auburn couldn't do anything offensively.
I'm sorry. Like, why haven't they flexed this off of SEC Network onto actual TV so we can all watch this on like a national one? Because Mississippi State has been one of the best stories this year outside of Vanderbilt. Well, we expected Vanderbilt to be good again because they brought their quarterback back.
Permanent opponent you're talking about.
It is. I want to see
Mississippi State rivalry, baby.
I want to see the cowbell people on the TV more often. That was a fun game. That Tennessee game was fun. I enjoyed every minute of it. And I'm impressed that Jeff Levy's been able to get this team going like he did. And so, with that being said, why have they not flexed this to an actual TV channel so we can watch it?
Yeah, they should have.
State's a good story, but I think A&M wins by
Same.
more than 2 touchdowns.
I think Mississippi State wins this game.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
I like it.
I do.
I think it's going to be close. I think A&M wins with a squeaker.
I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be
like
tight. A&M's going to. I'm going to favor the home team in this one.
I think
A&M's struggling on offense.
They've been squeaking by too much, and it's going to catch up to them. And I think that they probably will think, oh man, we got Mississippi State. That's easy. That's a home game we should win. I think if they don't win, if Mississippi State doesn't win at the very minimum, I think that Texas A&M plays bad and it's an ugly game, if anything. But I think Mississippi State goes in there and kind of hits them in the mouth a little bit.
It's maroon everywhere, but A&M, I believe, is doing a blackout. They're going all black. So Mississippi State,
in that case,
Mississippi State can wear their maroon and white.
In that case, don't change it.
Is Fluff Bothwell still one of the best run names in the SEC?
Oh, no doubt.
Tier 1, right?
No doubt.
Yeah,
The name's great, but if we're going best running back in this game, Le'Veon Moss got going last week, and I thought he was going to be one of the top 5 rushers in the SEC this year, and he's on his way to getting back to that title. So
Fair point.
we'll see on that. By the way, the other night games, ABC is Miami, Florida State. ESPN is Texas Tech, Houston, both undefeated. So that's why this game is SEC Network. But I agree that this game probably deserves a little bit more national love than it's getting, but that's where it is. Gents, appreciate your time. Appreciate your predictions. That's going to do it for this edition of the SEC Squad. We'll talk to you guys next week when half the league is back from their bye week. So we will have more games of action to discuss. And hey, a reminder that you can subscribe to your favorite SEC show. We'll be covering your favorite teams throughout the season every day. Don't forget, I'll have you covered with the entire conference of Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. For James Smith, Corey Burton, Jimmy Stein, John Neighbors, I'm Chris Gordy. We'll talk to you next week here on the SEC Squad Show.